Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram. Our grateful pranams to our Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, for this huge grace of the Nama chanting that we could do this evening. Okay. As I said yesterday and this morning, I came across a huge fund of Bhagwan's sayings in the publications of Jnanavali, the Tapovan magazine. On those 80s, many people had come from Tapovanam and also from other families, from Chennai, Madurai. And somehow some devotee or the other had recorded some of his sayings. I was wonderstruck when I saw all that. They could all be collected and be brought out in a book form, because every topic, there is no topic left off. Bhagwan had talked about everything, and in such simple, easy way for people to understand. Thanks to Mrs. Vasuki Jairaj, who sent all those collections at my request. Yesterday we saw how Nivedita visited with her brother and a friend the Sannadhi Street house, and what followed. Today we shall again visit Bhagwan with Shri Vishwanathji of Agaram, a Tapovan devotee who also came to Bhagwan, more so after the Samadhi of Shri Jnanananda Swami. There is a description by Shri Vishwanathji of his visit on the 4th February 88. So we shall now join him in visiting Bhagwan and be with them the whole afternoon and experience whatever we are capable of experiencing in the presence of Bhagwan. Shri Vishwanathji came to Tiruvannamalai at 2 p.m. He stood before Sannadhi Street house, found it locked. Then he knew that he had to look for him in the temple. So he rushed there. He always took milk for Bhagwan. He found Bhagwan seated near Shivaganga Teetham inside the temple. He rushed there, waited for a nod from Bhagwan, and Bhagwan gestured with a hand asking him to come. There was already someone seated in front of Bhagwan, and Bhagwan was enquiring him about J. Krishnamurthy. As soon as Shri Vishwanathji joined, Bhagwan asked him, "What have you brought? Have you brought milk?" Because it was usual whenever Vishwanathji visited Bhagwan, he would take some good milk from the village. So Bhagwan gave his coconut shell, which Vishwanathji filled up, and then Bhagwan asked him to drink up the rest of the milk. There is no mention of sharing this milk with the devotee who was already seated there, but then with Bhagwan, everything was different. No usual pleasant exchanges, the pleasantries that we exchange, nor is the usual kind of hospitality or anything. Because whatever Bhagwan said, whatever he did, strictly adhered to his father's work. Bhagwan had often said, every look of his, every word he uttered, every step that he took, every gesture he made, Father's work was getting done. From moment to moment to moment, he was conditioned by Father who runs the whole cosmos. No gesture of his, no look of his is ever wasted. It was spent for the welfare of the entire cosmos. Now we shall join once again. Let us be with Shri Vishwanathji and Bhagwan. Swami looked up at the tower, the temple tower, and asked Vishwanathji, "Vishwanathji, you see some bird there. Is it pigeon?" "Yes, Swami." "Do you know that these pigeons, they go round the tower, they do pradakshina of the tower on the day of Deepam. The Deepam is lighted on the summit of the mountain, and they fire crackers, and then immediately when everybody's eyes were riveted to the Deepam, these pigeons take it into their head to go round the tower 3 times. They go pradakshina, they do." And he smiled, remembering all that. Then Vishwanathji said, Bhagwan used to ask him always, even with people like us when we went there, "Vishwanathji, any news?" Then Vishwanathji said, "Swami, the editor of Jnanavali, had a stroke. He seeks your blessings." Then Bhagwan pronounced his blessings, asking Vishwanathji to pass them on to the editor of Jnanavali. Then a man came and sat a little distance away, facing Bhagwan and staring at him. Immediately Bhagwan's face changed, the expression changed, and then he said, "Vishwanathji, do you see that man there? He has come to disturb Father's work. People have been doing this beggar systematically. There are some people who trouble this beggar, who disturb his Father's work. Okay, then let us leave this place. We will not sit here anymore. And then he got up in one jump, started to walk fast. So these people, the two people, followed him. When he came out, there was a tea shop and the radio, the news, English news came out from the radio, and then immediately he stopped by to listen to the entire English news. Then Vishwanathji found himself being dragged by Bhagwan to this, what we call Rette Pillayar lane. Rette means two. Pillayar is Ganapati. There's a small temple there with two Ganapatis, and so it is always referred to as Rette Pillayar lane. So Swami took them to some tea shop there and remarked that there used to be only one tea shop in those days. Tiruvannamalai was like a village. When he had come there the first time in 59, it was still a village. And now so many tea shops had come, 3 of them in the same lane. And then he went away from this tea shop without taking anything to another shop. And there was a boy, and Bhagwan asked him in Tamil, "Where is your master, the boss?" Then the boy said, "That is my father, Karupaiya, and he has gone to Badalur to have darshan of this famous, the divine flame, the divine lamp, they light a flame there in memory of Shri Ballala's Samadhi." He simply disappeared. His whole body disappeared into a flame. Then there was his mother, Karupaiya's wife, standing by, and she said, "Swami has come. Hey, boy, you see to it that you give everything, whatever he asks for, and don't take money from him." Then Swami laughed happily, saying, "No, Amma, now this beggar has some money, so he will not take it free. This beggar can pay." And then he asked Vishwanathji to pick up some snacks from there. Then they pushed on to another shop where they were selling this flat rice and puffed rice. Swami often took only this puffed rice as his food whenever he was hungry, because for a little money you got so much of that, lots of puffed rice. It was cheap and he was able to take it. So he bought 2 packets of this puffed rice. And when they were just walking by, they stopped for a little while, and Bhagwan looked up at the summit of the mountain. And suddenly some 2 or 3 people came that side, and one of them was asking Vishwanathji, "Who is this Sami?" In Tamil, in coarse Tamil, "Enna Sami?" What Swami is his? Then Bhagwan just looked at him straight in the eye and said, "Ramasami," and then laughed. See, even at such moments, when there is a spontaneous reply from him, it always pointed to the truth that he was. The truth got revealed in his spontaneous reply, "Ramasami." Then he laughed and everybody laughed, and then he took them again to the temple. On the way, when they turned right, Bhagwan pointed to a building. He said previously there was a Vedapatshala here. Now see, it's written Chidambaram Chettiar High School. See how Vedapatshalas are disappearing and high schools are replacing them. He regretted it and then walked ahead. When they walked past a cinema theatre, it was Anbu Theatre of Tiruvannamalai, and there was a movie poster, a huge poster displayed, and the title of the movie was written there in Tamil. Swami asked Vishwanathji to read out. What is it written there? He said Satya. Satya means truth. So as soon as Vishwanathji read the title of the movie, immediately Bhagwan recalled, oh, Satya. Satya and Ahimsa, two lofty virtues, were practiced by Mahatma Gandhi. And then he was completely lost in the thought of Mahatma Gandhi. I was thinking when I read that, had it been people like us, we would have had a very good look at the cinema poster. We would have had a look at the hero, the heroine, the villain, and all those sub-characters there. And immediately our train of thoughts would have been different. What can we say about it? We would have remembered the hero and perhaps some things about the hero, some things about the heroine, and then probably another movie, etc., etc., etc. But then see, as soon as he saw the title, the thought that came to a Mahatma is Satya, the truth, and Ahimsa, the non-violence. That they were practiced by Mahatma Gandhi. And then immediately he went into a deep state. He was lost in the thoughts of Mahatma. And then he turned a little distance away, he turned to this JK reader, the other devotee. Do you know, because they were just standing in front of a photo shop, and there were many, many portraits, photos of different gods and also leaders, national leaders. There were photos of Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, photos of gods, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Ganapati. Bhagwan looked at the photo of Indira Gandhi and then turned to the JK. We wouldn't say JK devotee, but at Bhagwan's instruction, he used to read JK's books. So he turned to that visitor. Do you know what J. Krishnamurthy said after the assassination, when Indira Gandhi was assassinated? When the news reached, what was JK doing? Then this man replied, Swami, I have no idea. Then Bhagwan himself volunteered the information. J. Krishnamurthy was seated in deep meditation. And then somebody passed on the news to him that Indira Gandhi was assassinated. And he opened his eyes and said to those people who had assembled there, Indira Gandhi is gone, is going. Please do not think about her now. Let her go in peace. They were the words from J. Krishnamurthy. He was associated. He used to visit Indira Gandhi at her request. Especially there was a very difficult time for Indira Gandhi, that somebody had passed on black magic. Somebody had done black magic on her, because of which she suffered very much. Let us not go into descriptions of all that, but enough to say that she suffered heavily at the time when she sought some kind of relief from somebody who would remove this. That man is supposed to have said, yes, somebody had played black magic on you and that's why all this happenings, but please do not worry, it will not go to any extremes, because there's a great store, there's a master, a great master is protecting you. I see the master wearing a turban, holding a country fan in hand. He is protecting you. And after some time, when J. Krishnamurthy visited India, he used to come once a year and stay for 3 or 4 months in India. He came to Delhi and went straight to Indira Gandhi after hearing the sufferings that she went through. And they discussed many things. So, Bhagwan recalled this particular incident. And why would J. Krishnamurthy say such a thing? Please do not think of her now. When I read J. Krishnamurthy's life, there was a reference to the little boy Krishnamurthy growing up. He had lost his mother early. But even as a boy, he was very pure. He was already an advanced soul at such a young age, and he used to see some beings walking about. He had the spiritual sensitivity, advancement, to be able to spot these beings around, and he saw his mother, dead mother, appearing here and there in the house. And then the mother said, "Don't get frightened, Krishnamurthy. It's because you are thinking of me so often. I have to be here. Please don't think of me. I have to pursue my further journey. Do not think of me. Don't hold me here." So you see, when somebody dies, it's okay, they give you time, the first 2 or 3 days or 4 days. You can cry your heart out, because the soul also expects some tears from the loved ones. But then, after those rituals, after a few days, the soul has to go. So the mantras are such that the mantras would remind the dead soul, you have no body, you are a preta, you cannot assume a body, your body has been burnt, your body has been buried, you have no more any body, go away from here. Those mantras would settle them nicely in their subtle form so that they could proceed further. But after those rituals, if anybody should think about them and cry and cry and cry all the time, it would put a lot of trouble in the further journey of the soul. The soul would not be able to enjoy those tears, taking it for love, because now it is very aware that it has a subtle body, it has to learn to live in that subtle world, and it has to pursue the higher steps of the journey. So that if people continue to cry out, remembering the dead soul would not be able to come back to the earth because it has lost its body, nor can it go further ahead because of the thoughts of these people, the cries of the relatives or the loved ones. It would pull them back to the earth, but they would not be able to come. With the result, the dead soul would suffer a lot. Now today I heard an interesting story from our Aburupa Mamma. She was listening to me, my narration this morning, and she said she had a similar incident that happened to her. Her son passed away when he was a youth of 19 years, which was a shock to her. She never expected this to happen to her son. She had just gone round the mountain, and when she arrived, she found her son dead. It was such a great, great shock to the mother who bore the child and brought him up with such love. Imagine the feeling of the mother. So she used to cry a lot thinking of her son. And one day, her son appeared in a dream and said, "Ma, please don't cry for me. You see your tears." Then he pointed to a river. He said, "You see this river? They're all your tears. Now I am unable to cross this. I have to go further in my journey. But you see, this river is now in the way and I am unable to cross it. Please stop crying. Stop thinking about it. Stop crying." And then she said, it was a shock to her again. After her son said that in a dream, she stopped crying completely. Now, Bhagwan, let's come back to the street, the lanes around the temple of Arunachala. And Bhagwan now decided to go inside the temple again. So the three of them went straight to Shivaganga tank, and then they sat there. Now Bhagwan opened the packet of the puffed rice. He gave one packet and asked the two to share, and he took one full packet for himself. And he started to eat. A few minutes passed, and then a crow came, and it started to go round and round overhead. And Bhagwan looked up and then talked to the crow. "Oh, you want some of this? Okay, I will give you." And then he got down the steps and he found a corner. He put some puffed rice for the sake of the crow. And when he straightened, he saw a dog also standing across the tank watching him. Then he talked to the dog. "Oh, you also want some? Okay, I will come there." And then he walked all the way, the length of the tank, on that particular side, the south side. He went to the east, and then he put in 3 or 4 places some puffed rice. He said to them, Vishwanathji and the other person, "So you see, they won't quarrel over this. The dog can eat separately and the crow can eat separately. Otherwise there would be a fight." And then he laughed, and then he came back. In fact, just before they entered the temple, Swami stopped before one sweet stall, Kumaran sweets in those days, and then he asked Vishwanathji to pick up some snacks there. So they had taken some snacks also, and Bhagwan wanted those snacks to be shared equally among all those people who were present there. Now, his evening tiffin was over with all that. So he wanted to leave Vishwanathji. He said, "Now let's go out. This beggar would like to sit in the sun for some time. So this beggar leaves you, Vishwanathji." And then he turned to the other person also and said, "You can go." So this is a journey, a little walk we took with Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, an afternoon with him. These were the places he visited, apparently for a heavy student of philosophy. It held no deep philosophy or any sayings, but to the devotees of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, every laughter from him, every gesture, every look, every expression, his countenance, his walk, we used to enjoy. Just looking at him, it was sheer ananda just to stay in his presence. People would be unable to walk away from him. Such was the magnetism he held for his devotees. I'm sure many, many devotees of Bhagwan would have enjoyed this walk with Bhagwan, this afternoon that we spent with Bhagwan in proxy. See, apparently it was just movement from one place to the other and some comments, but in those hours, Bhagwan would have done tremendous work for his father. Whatever he did was meant for the welfare of the whole cosmos. We cannot interpret, nor can we ever know the depth of his work. But no doubt that he would have done so much of work. Once at Sudama, he asked me to read a book. It's Madame Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine. Small lettered pages, page after page after page, many, many, many pages. I somehow managed 600 pages. He sat there smoking all the time, listening to what I read. At one point, after 600 pages, I wanted to know, Bhagwan, why are you asking me to read this? Because I don't understand anything of it. It's very heavy stuff. It talks about the different levels of cosmos and the subtleties held by it. I said, it's very difficult for me to understand, but I am reading on because you asked me to. Then Bhagwan smiled and said, Devaki, this beggar also doesn't understand. But one thing, Devaki, Father wants you to read and Father will put it to use. So today, the great Father, the cosmic Father, wanted us to move with Bhagwan. The great Father, the cosmic Father, wanted us to move with Bhagwan, to spend the afternoon, that February 88 afternoon with Bhagwan. And let us not try to understand anything. Let us not try to make anything out of this, except that Father wanted us to walk with him, to be with him in the temple, sitting with him at Shivaganga tank, and to go around into the streets. We looked up at the summit with him. We also ate the snacks, shared it with him. We looked at the crow, we looked at the dog. We saw him talking to them, just as he would talk to any human being. And we heard some of his comments. Father wanted us to go with him, to spend the afternoon with him, and Father would put it to use. Now we shall offer today's prayers at his feet.